Did the Democrats just engage in an insurrection? The government was hours away from a shutdown. The House GOP was about to vote on a stopgap to delay the shutdown. And then hear this. There was New York Congressman, Democrat Jamaal Bowman, trying to stop the vote because this is par for the course for Democrats. When Democrats don't get their way, they create chaos. Whether it's a House vote, a Supreme Court nomination hearing, or a local ruling on some law. The Democrats engage in these antics in order to force things to go their way. Will it work this time? Will Bowman be held accountable for what he did? Let's talk about it. This is the Bicycle Podcast. So we're going to dig deeper into the Jamaal Bowman situation, him pulling the fire alarm. We're going to talk about RFK. Is he about to deal a death blow to the Biden campaign? But before we get into those stories, we need to move over to California. We need to talk about Gavin Newsom and the Democrats over there in California. California just increased the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour. Now, there's a lot of celebration going on right now in California and across the country because people think that this is going to spread across the country. People are saying, well, this is great because these workers are taken advantage of and they need it. You have some people who've been working in fast food for years. In fact, there was one lady, she's been working at Burger King for 20 years, and she did an interview with CBS. She's saying she can finally save some money. She can finally get on the come up because she's getting this raise. Then there was another lady who said, I need to read her quote. She said, "This is for my ancestors. This is for all the farms, all the cotton pickers. This is for them. We ride on their shoulders." So she's been working in SoCal at Jack in the Box. What? This is for the slaves? This is for the cotton pickers? What the hell are you talking about? Getting a pay raise at Jack in the Box? Shout out to the slaves. Wow. But there's a problem with this whole thing. People don't understand how this minimum wage thing works. People don't understand the cascading effects on the overall economy when government digs into private business and forces a move like this. Fast food workers, minimum wage in California is going to be $20 an hour. What does that mean? Well, that means that your caramel macchiatos are about to become very expensive. They're going to run a premium. This is going to affect about 500,000 workers, 500,000 fast food workers in California for right now. And for some reason, Panera Bread is exempt from this whole thing. That's really strange. But they're saying large restaurant chains, if you have over 60 locations, then you need to pay minimum $20 an hour to your employees. And I'm just wondering, what the hell do they think is going to happen to the mom and pop shops, to the smaller ones? So if McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Burger King paying $20 an hour, why would someone want to work at a mom and pop shop for $12, $13 an hour? Even $18 an hour. Why would you work there flipping burgers when you can go right next door to McDonald's and flip burgers for more money? So they're trying to make it seem like, well, we're not going to attack small businesses. We're just going to attack the big businesses that can afford it. Well, the big businesses are going to gobble up the small businesses. That's what these guys are not understanding. Because these guys, these small businesses, first of all, they always struggle for customers because they don't have the name brand. They struggle for workers because they're more expensive. They can't pay as much already as these bigger chains. And now you're going to force the larger chains to pay even more, creating an even larger gap between mom and pop restaurants versus these large chains. So McDonald's, companies like that, they're like, yeah, we love it because we're just going to push the cost of the raise on the customers. And mom and pop shops, this burger joint that was taking a little bit of my market share, they're just going to go out of business because they're not going to be able to get enough help to even sustain themselves. But Gavin Newsom doesn't see it the way. These Democrats and these fast food workers who are out here having a party with Gavin Newsom, they don't see it that way. They don't get what's about to happen. Then let's talk about the larger effect on the economy. These people don't understand that this is a lateral move because it's going to create a cascading effect on the economy. So if you're at McDonald's, Jack in the Box, and you're making $20 an hour, then you have people who work at UPS or FedEx somewhere, they're pushing boxes on a conveyor belt, making $25, $26 an hour. What do you think the people with more skills are thinking? Let's say you were making $18 an hour doing something in the medical field. Now these workers, these fast food workers, just jumped you. So what do you think these people are going to want? Let's say you have a bachelor's degree in some type of needed skill, a profession where you have to be very skilled, not just some underwater basket weaving degree, but a skilled job. They were paying you $25, $30 an hour. Now you got these guys pushing boxes or flipping burgers. They're creeping up on you. They're about to make just under you or the same as you. So you're like, wait a minute. Now I need a raise because when I go to McDonald's, the prices are more and I can't be making the same as these people flipping burgers. Why would I make the same as people flipping burgers? Because I have a highly needed skill. So if you want to pay me the same as these people, then I'm out of here. So it's going to force people across the economy to increase wages. Everything's going to go up. The prices of fast food is going to go up because these companies are just going to push this raise onto the consumer. So now the prices go up here. So that's going to cause the prices of everything around them, transportation, housing, the supply chain, everything's going to increase. Everybody in the state is now going to demand higher wages. And then once everyone starts to get higher wages, the cost of gas and transportation is going to go up. The cost of vehicles is going to go up. The cost of housing is going to go up. So these fast food workers are going to be looking like, damn, we just got $20 an hour. We thought that we were on a come up, but now we're in the same situation. Because it's a lateral move. If you get a 20-30% increase in income, the entire market is going to increase. The cost of everything is going to increase 20-30%. So you're in the same boat but with bigger numbers. It's kind of like 10 years ago, for example, in some cities you can get a 2-bedroom apartment for $700. People were making $10-12 an hour. And people are looking like, man, I make $19 an hour. I make $20 an hour. Yeah, but now your rent is $1,500. Your rent is $1,800. So you didn't go anywhere with that increase. You're in the same spot with bigger numbers. And another thing that this forced increase, Gavin Newsom them digging into private business, another thing that this is going to cause is these restaurants to invest even more into automation. Because we already had some automation, but AI, the tech is getting better, the machines are getting better, and they're getting cheaper. And the companies are looking like, okay, I can pay this guy $20 an hour, which is going to come out to over $40,000 a year. I can pay him net, or I can start investing more. I can cut his hours, and I can start investing more into my technology, into my machines, into my AI. And eventually, I'll cut his hours all the way down to zero because my machines are going to be more efficient, less of a liability, and way, 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 way cheaper than having these fast food workers. We've already seen some of this automation. Look at when you go to Walmart, when you go to Target, some of these big places, they've replaced their cashiers with computers. They say, look, customers, you go check yourself out with this computer. And the tech is becoming even better. If you go to some gas stations, like I went to the Circle K, they have this platform where you don't even have to scan items one by one. You can take 10 items, set them all on the platform. It scans them, immediately picks up whatever they are, and within seconds, it can check you out. So this tech is getting better. These people are celebrating, but they don't realize that they're about to get replaced with computers. In fact, let's look at some of the technology they have available. So we've already seen systems like this where you can just pay by screen at a kiosk when you walk into the restaurant. Now they're even better. You can just pay by face. Scan your face. We don't need anybody flipping burgers. We got a robot to do that. Way cheaper. This is what's about to come to these people. Then you got Flippy, the fry flipper robot. So these guys are going to continue to invest in it. They're going to make this technology more efficient, better and better. And these people who are bragging, they're going to lose either a large chunk of their hours or all of their hours. So this was something that was already going to happen in the industry, but with the government jumping into private business, like I keep saying, they're forcing things like this to accelerate. They're forcing companies to invest more in this because forcing them to pay a certain wage is making them find ways to cut costs elsewhere. That's one of the reasons why big companies invest overseas, because it's way cheaper to produce stuff overseas. You can send material to China, create the product, ship it all the way back. And that's cheaper than what you'll have to pay in labor costs in the United States because the government forces companies to pay a certain wage. But good luck to the workers. I know fast food sucks. I know the pay sucks. But the solution isn't to force these companies to pay more because that just creates a cascading effect and you're making a lateral move. The solution is for the workers. Maybe they can work there temporarily, but they need to get their own skill set up. They need to increase their market value. That way they can get the hell out of McDonald's, Jack in the Box, and go somewhere else, even make their own business and make some more money. It's not to do this because you're not going to get anywhere like this. But we're going to move on from that, and we're going to talk about RFK because now the Democrats are panicking. The White House is panicking because it looks like they done pissed one of the Kennedys off. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor, me, the Vice Signal Merch Store. As we discuss today's topics, remember that your values and your ideas can be expressed by the things that you wear. Check out our thoughtfully curated merchandise celebrating traditional values and government restraint. Explore our unique collection starting with the Supreme Style tinfoil hat, a statement piece that embodies our commitment to critical thinking and pushing back against the norm. Make a statement with the Free Trump shirt, boldly displaying the captivating mugshot of the former president, which instantly became the most famous picture in the world. At the Bicycle Merch Store, we're more than just products. We're a community dedicated to celebrating and defending traditional values. Sign up for promotions and receive 10% off your very first order. Don't miss out on these exceptional items. Embrace tradition, champion freedom, and shop now at tbsmerch.com.
This is a letter that many of you signed, many of my fellow Democrats. I've spent my life in this party. I've devoted my life to the values of this party. This 102 people signed this. This itself is evidence of the problem that this hearing was convened to address. This is an attempt to censor a censorship hearing. The charges in this, and by the way, censorship is antithetical to our party. It was appalling to my father, to my uncle, to FDR, to Harry Truman, to Thomas Jefferson, as the chairman referred to. It is the basis for democracy. It sets us apart from all of the previous forms of government. We need to be able to talk, and the First Amendment was not written for easy speech. It was written for the speech that nobody likes you for.
After being censored all summer long, ever since he announced that he was running for the Democrat nomination, RFK is finally indicating that he might be going independent. He might run third party because what's happened is he's decided to run against Joe Biden. Powers that be, whether it be the media, people who run social media, and even the DNC have conspired against him and decided to push him out of the race to keep him from the eyes of the public. So normally during the presidential election season, you will have debates. If you have multiple candidates on the Democrat side, like we do now, we got RFK Jr., we got Marianne Williamson, we got Joe Biden. There should be Democrat primary debates so the people in the Democrat Party can see which president that they want. But the DNC has decided to go against this. So they shut down debates. They say, you know what? Joe Biden is our guy because Joe Biden is a decrepit old man. We can manipulate him. He doesn't really run anything. We can run the country without having a smart mind in power. So if we get somebody like RFK, this is going to be bad for business because the last thing that we need is a strong man who can think for himself. So they canceled all of the debates. The media, CNN, NBC, CBS, and all of them have conspired to keep this man off TV. He was on the campaign stump giving a speech. He had a YouTube channel. While he was giving his speech live on YouTube, YouTube banned him. And you're telling me that these organizations haven't conspired together to silence this man? Because they are afraid to let the American people decide for themselves. See, this is that hive mind mentality of the Democrats. First, they let the DNC have super delegates in their party. So in most cases in the Democrat primaries, the voters' voices are partially suppressed. Talk about voter suppression. For example, back in 2016, when Hillary was going against Bernie Sanders, these super delegates whose votes are worth hundreds of times those of normal citizens, these super delegates already conspired together and already lined up and said that they were going to support Hillary Clinton, which meant at the start of the primary, before a normal citizen even voted, Hillary had a massive lead in delegation points because the DNC creates this handicap where they get to pick. They have a lot of weight, put their thumb on the scale and say, damn, what the voters want. See, you don't have this in the Republican Party, but these voters let the DNC get away with something like that. And now what are they doing this year? We got 4 people running for the Democrat nomination, and the DNC said, you know what, screw all y'all, we're not doing a debate. On top of that, all the polls indicate that it's a very high chance that RFK Jr. can win Iowa and they can win New Hampshire, the first 2 states. For decades have been the first 2 states in primaries. So the DNC changed primary dates. They put South Carolina first because they know that these blind Negroes are going to vote for Joe Biden no matter what. They're going to vote overwhelmingly for Biden in South Carolina. So they don't want the president to be defeated in the first 2 debates. They're doing all this suppression, all this censorship of RFK Jr. They've also engaged in character assassination, talking about, oh, he's a tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, talking about vaccines. They brought out, I think that was his sister, one of the Kennedy girls, and had her badmouth him. I don't know how much they paid her for that, or maybe she's just a blind sheep too, but had his own family badmouth him. All in efforts to keep the decrepit old man in power so they can control him, and the DNC and the powers that be can keep running the country, because the last thing they want is a strong-minded, strong-willed, smart man as the president of the United States. They are terrified of that. That's one of the reasons why they conspired against Trump, but that's a different story. But Kennedy, being tired of all of this, is about to go independent, and looks like he's going to play spoiler in the 2024 election. We have all these pundits and all of these news organizations coming out saying, well, this is just going to work against Trump. They're coping. It's going to hurt Biden tremendously. We're going to look at 2 relatively recent presidential elections where you had a third party play spoiler. Let's take a look. So this is the one that I've heard a lot of people talking about, the 1992 election with Bill Clinton versus George Bush and Ross Perot. So Ross Perot, as you can see, on the road to 270, he didn't win any votes in the Electoral College, but what happened? He won 19% of the popular vote. And what that means is that there could have been a state. Let's go down here. Let's look at Georgia, for example. George Bush won 42.9% of the vote. Bill Clinton barely beat him, 43.5%. Ross Perot over 13%. What does that mean? That means if Ross Perot wasn't in the race, George Bush probably would have won that state, because Ross Perot was a right-leaning independent, and a lot of people who weren't satisfied with George Bush, a lot of people who didn't like the rebound lips comments, the Gulf War, a lot of people decided to vote against him. They didn't want Clinton, but they voted for Ross Perot. So you can see that there are a couple of states, there are possibilities that George Bush would have won those states, meaning he would have won those electoral votes if Ross Perot wasn't in a race. Now let's go over here to the one that I immediately thought of, the one that I heard way back in the day, George Bush versus Al Gore. And we're going to go down here to Florida because we know this all came down to Florida. So we had Ralph Nader in a race as a Green Party candidate. And well, let's look at the overall percentages. So this race was very, very tight, as you can see here, neck and neck. Ralph Nader, he only pulled 2.7% of the popular vote, but it was significant because the race came down to Florida. We all know about the Florida recounts and all that. Now let's look at Bush and Gore. Both 48.8% in Florida. Look at this, man. Look at this. I mean, we're talking about 500. George Bush won the presidential election because it all came down to Florida. He won the presidential election by 500 votes. Now, let's go look at Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader was more Democrat leaning. So a lot of people who would have normally voted Democrat if it was a 2-man race voted for Ralph Nader. He won over 97,000 votes. We're talking about a race that came down to 500 votes. 97,000. If Ralph Nader would have pulled a fraction of what he pulled, he still would have caused Al Gore the election. Now, if Ralph Nader wasn't in the election, Al Gore could have been the president. We would have never had this Bush #2 as the president. So could we see something like this? Imagine you come down to these critical swing states, Georgia, Arizona, Ohio. We could have something like RFK Jr. sucking up votes. Now, like I said, these pundits are trying to say Trump. Now, he can suck votes away from DeSantis, Ramaswamy, and them. I don't think he's going to damage Trump too much. He could pull some from Trump, but not too much. But he could pull a lot away from the decrepit old man, especially seeing this man's his state of mind. He's completely senile, dementia. He can barely get around. Like Trump said, when he walks, it looks like he's stepping on toothpicks. So he could spoil this. And a lot of the Democrats are just completely pissed off now. But it's their own fault because they shut this man down. They censored the hell out of this man. And now if he plays a spoiler, they brought it on themselves. Why didn't they want to run a fair and square election? Why didn't they want to give their own voters? Because their voters are basically trained lapdogs. Because if they say, look, we're going to put super delegates in our primary, we're going to shut down debate so you guys don't have a voice, these lapdogs just go along with it. So if they're bitching and crying at the end of the day because of RFK, oh well. And I think Trump was going to win the thing anyway, because just looking at everything, man, Biden is extremely unpopular. People are begging to have Trump back. And I think the Democrats are probably going to try to find a way to cheat again. And speaking of cheating, trash Democrats, let's get back to that Bowman situation. Okay, so Jamaal Bowman pulled a fire alarm in a congressional building in order to cause an evacuation to stop a vote. So the government was on the brink of shutting down. That's nothing alarming because the government does this every year now. For the past couple of years, it's been an annual thing. At the end of every September, they're about to shut down. They'll kick the can down the road. Then a couple months later, about to shut down again. Because the Republicans and the Democrats, they can't agree on how to spend money, how much money to borrow. Should they increase the national debt? So here we go. We're talking about money for border security and infinite money to Ukraine. A lot of these Republicans have finally woken up from being dumbasses and stopped funding all this money to Ukraine. Sent over $70 billion to Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, and all of them as a way of saying we sent money to Ukraine. So the government has been printing money, borrowing money from future taxpayers in order to fund a proxy war. And the Republicans are tired of it, but this is really a completely different video about the shutdown issues. What happened was the Republicans were about to pass a stopgap measure. A couple of hours left. Midnight, the government shuts down, right? Couple of hours left. So Bowman said, you know what? I'm going to go over here and cause the building to be evacuated. That way, the government can shut down. That way, by the time everything resets, we'll already be in shutdown territory and we can point the finger and blame Republicans. So this fool on camera, he didn't even know he was being recorded. He was in a congressional building. Didn't know he was being recorded. How dumb can you be? And he was a school principal? Jesus. He pulled a fire alarm. And then he started saying, oh man, you know what? This door was closed. So I thought I had to pull the fire alarm in order to open the door. That doesn't even make sense. You thought it was a button? Like, you know, when you get out of certain buildings, you have to push the button to unlock the door. It was, let's take a look at this. Okay, so my question is he dumb, stupid, or slow? We got to pick one because this is what this man pulled. This isn't just stock footage, some random photo. This is the actual fire alarm that he pulled. So he said, okay, the door was closed. Therefore, I pulled down the fire alarm in order to open the door. So is he retarded or just a lying sack of shit? I think it's a combination of both, actually. Now let's look at this other sign. So this is a sign. When you look at that initial picture, you see a sign to his left and you can see two signs on the door. So these are the signs. This is where he was. So you got the fire alarm right here. You have this sign here that says emergency exits only. He said, I was just in a hurry. I was trying to make this critical vote to not shut down the government. And I got lost and confused. Didn't know what I was doing. And I pulled the fire alarm. He saw the emergency exit sign. The door. The signs on the door says push until alarm sounds 3 seconds. Door will unlock in 30 seconds. So we know this is and emergency exit. We know if you press this, if you want to unlock the door, the instructions are clearly written on the door. But this jackass, this lying sack of shit is saying he pulled the fire alarm because he was confused and he thought it would open the door. What a dumbass. And now we got the Democrats out here running defense. First, we got this dumbass reporter asking Marjorie Taylor Greene, well, did you see the video? Did you see? She's sitting here stating the facts on what we all know happened. And he keeps saying, well, did you see a video? Did you see it? I mean, let's take a look.
No, I want to talk about Jamaal Bowman pulling the fire alarm. Capitol Police are questioning him right now because it's on video. That he violated the exact same law that January 6th defendants are being prosecuted for every single day. He violated the exact same law, interrupting an official proceeding, and by pulling a fire alarm. It's on video, and the Capitol Police have the information.
Did you see?
This is outrageous. They have it on video.
Have you seen the video?
I haven't seen the video yet, but I'm going to be demanding it. I'm demanding that the Department of Justice prosecute him the same way they prosecuted January 6th defendants. It's the exact same law. Exact same law. This is outrageous. He's a Democrat representative. Here's what happened. Catherine Clark, the whip, called the motion to adjourn, and within, I don't know, a few minutes, it was literally right after that, Jamaal Bowman pulls a fire alarm while the vote was happening. You guys, this is unprecedented. The Democrats will do anything to make sure it's shut down because billions of dollars are not going to their favorite country, Ukraine. I mean, you guys really, so Olivia Beavers has tweeted it. This is the law. This is the law. Otherwise obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding or attempts to do so shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. This is the law that January 6th defendants are being locked up, they're rotting in jail, and they're being prosecuted every single day. Non-violent offenders are being put in jail for this.
You took a video over there. Did you happen to catch like a part of it, or I saw you posted a video on Twitter? Did you catch a part of it?
Look, it's being reported everywhere. You can ask go ask the Capitol Police about it. I'm demanding the video. House admin has already reported it. They have seen the video. It's just unbelievable. He's a representative breaking the law.
Then we got the cackling hands on the View. Whoopi Goldberg, them, they're so damn dumb, man. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Okay, so Democratic House member allegedly pulled a fire alarm. He claims that it was because he was trying to get to the House floor. The video seems to, or pictures suggest otherwise. I think it was because the CR came out and he wanted more time to read the bill. But rather, again, than Congress passing a bill that would allow for him to have more time to read it, he literally pulled the fire alarm. It'd be like if I was didn't like the next topic and I pulled the fire alarm and ran out. We just can't do that.
What's absolutely ridiculous, though, is that there's MAGA Republicans that are somehow equating this guy doing this infantile stunt with January 6th. To my knowledge, nobody died because this guy pulled that stunt. To my knowledge, nobody was bleeding. Nobody was attacked because of this stunt.
And I don't want to call it a stunt yet. There's going to be an investigation. I know Jamaal. And so, again, I'm a little biased. But the doors that are normally open so that he could get to the chambers to read were somehow miraculously closed. How did that happen? And so, yes, sometimes you're freaking out and you're in an elevator and you're pressing all the buttons.
It goes to what you were saying. It goes to them not having the time. It is quite possible that he was trying to get there and the door, not panic, but, you know, if you're not looking, because it's a door that's normally open, you just go and you press a button. You know,
it fire alarm button. I was so scared of that.
I don't know because I don't know what I haven't seen the fire alarm button, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't fire exit only sign. It was active.
Because you have to break glass to to get to the button. So I don't know.
I don't know. It seems pretty fire alarmy to me.
I don't know. It just looks like a button. I can't see the button.
I think he could. He was a little close.
Did anybody in this audience pull up a fire alarm to get out of a 7th grade test?
Brian, raise your hand.
Yeah, we know you did, Brian.
I guess my point is, you know, if you're not sure, then put it up find out what it was, as opposed to just saying, you know, you did this to do that. Because when people pull stunts, I tend to think that they may be more full of it than he is. You know, people who pull this kind of stunt who say, and you only have 3 minutes to read it. I kind of think, oh, all right, well, maybe. Because I know I would have pressed everything if you told me I had to get in there. I would have pressed whatever I had to press to get the door to open because I knew you would expect me not to be there to vote. So you don't know.
First of all, this Anna, whatever the hell her name is, Porky Pig, whatever the hell her name is, she was a Republican. Trump did her so bad that she's a full-blown Democrat. But these are some trash excuses, man. They think the American people are stupid. Their lapdogs are. I guess that's all they need to fool, because the Republicans are going to go against them in most cases anyway. So they just need to give their lapdogs something to think about so they don't think that their party is completely corrupt. And speaking of corruption, wasn't this a crime, interrupting a congressional proceeding? Because last I checked, the January 6 guys are in prison. These guys are facing decades in prison for allegedly interrupting a congressional hearing, a congressional proceeding. Didn't Jamaal Bowman just do that? Did he not just evacuate a building to cause a government shutdown? Because we're not going to go with excuses. We're going to use common sense. So if you want to take the hornhead guy, you want to take all these other guys and throw the book at them for allegedly interrupting a congressional proceeding, you got to do the same thing to Jamaal Bowman. And then Kevin McCarthy, he's out here being soft, talking about, well, I don't think the Democrat leadership, I don't think they would ever tell Bowman to do that. I won't put it past them. So Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democrats in the House, the DNC, the powers that be, they could have had a hand in this. They could have told Bowman to go out and do this. So McCarthy and them need to take this further. If you have a wild goose chase like these Democrats spending millions of dollars, spending years prosecuting people over this January 6th crap, then you need to prosecute this, push this to no end. You need to subpoena text messages, emails, gather all conversations, see who was in contact with, figure out exactly what the hell happened, and if he had any co-conspirators, throw the book at him. See, that's what the Republicans need to do, but I highly doubt it. This is why I'm an independent, because these Republicans are soft as hell. They get ran over, tramped on, stomped on, spat on, and then they sit there and turn the other cheek. Well, we're not bad and corrupt guys like them. We're not going to use political power against our enemies the way they did y'all, the way that they arrested Trump, the way that they are embarrassing y'all. Every day they use political power against y'all, but y'all don't want to do it back. These Democrats, man, they're childish as hell anyway, man. This isn't the first time we've seen some antics like this. Let's take a look at a couple of other examples. Okay, so let's look at the first situation. We had these Texas Democrats who fled Texas, went to D.C. because they were trying to make a public statement. Texas was passing some voting bills to tighten up their laws to help prevent voter fraud in the future. So these Democrats said, you know what, instead of voting, because we know that y'all need us in order to conduct this legislation, in order to pass it, we have to be here. And we can't hide out anywhere in Texas because the Texas Rangers can literally come scoop us up and force us to appear at the House. So we're going to leave. We're going to go to D.C. So they went on a private jet. They were funded by the DNC. They met with Kamala Harris, gave her COVID-19. But they fled to D.C., made a public spectacle, because this is what Democrats do. They act an ass and they create chaos when things don't go their way. Now let's move over to Wisconsin. They were passing an anti-union bill. And guess what? They did the same thing. They ran the same game that they ran in Texas. The Democrats in the legislature left the state in order to prevent the Republicans in Wisconsin from passing this law, because they didn't have enough votes to stop them. So they conduct all these antics. They bring all these people here to block traffic, to scream, to shout over people. But it doesn't work. They only create chaos. They make a mockery of themselves, and the legislation still goes through. And this one became really famous. This wasn't even a year ago, when you had all of these Democrats, they basically, like Justin Jones, they basically conducted an insurrection against the state of Tennessee. This is all over gun control laws being passed by the Tennessee legislature. Republican majority, Republican governor, they're about to do this. And these Democrats act a complete fool over here. And like I said, it's an insurrection. I thought it was an insurrection. When you interrupt a government proceeding, when you come against a state capitol, when you do stuff like this, isn't it an insurrection? Or is it only an insurrection when Democrats do it? Because when Republicans do anything close to that. When the president says, peacefully make your voices be known, he committed an insurrection against the United States. He tried to overthrow the government. But these Democrats cause all this chaos, manipulate all these people, bring all their brainwashed sheep out there. But it's cool. It's not an insurrection. This is just normal business. So here's the bottom line. These old school 2000s era, George Bush era Republicans need to go. If there's one single Republican who is against prosecuting Bowman for this, against expelling him from the House for this, who is against investigating the DNC and Hakeem Jeffries and all of them, if you're against that, then you need to go. That's the problem with the Republican Party. That's why the Democrats bring so much destruction to our country, because these Republicans are constantly being buck broken. They're too soft. They don't want to do the same thing. Look, they're just now trying to do impeachment proceedings against Biden. They should have did that from day one. As soon as they won the majority, which was back in this last January, they should have launched impeachment proceedings. But they wait all of this time, all this pressure, because there's so many Republicans who are soft as hell. They just want to come in, make their money, do their money laundering, meet the right people, network with these oligarchs, these American oligarchs, and then leave Congress as a millionaire. That's all they want to do. They don't want to cause a ruckus. They don't want to disturb the peace. They don't want to mess up their cash flow. But something got to be done, man. We need these old school era Republicans out of here, man. If you're not a new age era Republican, you got to go, because you messed stuff up. So the voters need to take notice of these people who are going to let Bowman get away with this. So if you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like, share it, and I'll see you guys next time.